Leo ran, his heart pounding like a drum. Alien streets blurred past him, glowing signs, sharp corners. Tall creatures that barely noticed the human dashing between them. He clutched a small bag to his chest. The straps cutting into his shoulder. Behind him, he heard the shouting. Loud, angry voices and the stomping of boots. The debt collectors were close now. And Leo knew if they caught him, he was finished. He had borrowed credits for his sister's treatment. But she died before he could pay it back. The gang didn't care. They wanted their money or his life. He turned down a tight alley and slipped through a half-broken door. Inside, it was dark and warm. Steam floated in the air like a thick mist. There were clothes everywhere, large, wet, and strange. Long fabric sheets, towels, armor pads, all stacked in baskets or hanging on walls. He realized too late, this was a laundry room, but not just any laundry. These were alien-sized clothes, and all of them looked like they belonged to warriors. Great, Leo muttered, crawling behind a tall stack of folded towels. From debt to death, I'll be beaten with a sock. Footsteps echoed down the hall, heavy, sharp, and perfectly in sync. Leo froze, holding his breath. The door opened. Slowly, and through the steam, a tall figure entered. Her skin was pale green. Glowing slightly in the heat, her hair was snow-white and braided tight. She wore only a towel wrapped around her body, but she held a spear in one hand like it was. Part of her, she paused, sniffed the air, and narrowed her glowing eyes. Leo stayed silent. Heart hammering against his ribs, the warrior woman stepped closer, her eyes scanning the room. She looked directly toward Leo's hiding place. Leo's mouth went dry. His fingers curled tighter around the towel he clung to. But then she smirked, turned around and walked away. Her voice echoed through the hallway. Your laundry smells. Unusual today. Laughter followed her words as she disappeared into the mist. Leo let out a shaky breath. What the hell did I just get into? He whispered, slumping against the wall. The room was quiet again, filled only with the sound of dripping water and humming machines. He looked around, trying to understand where he was. There were weapons stacked in the corner, some kind of battle gear hanging near the door, and a glowing crest on the wall, a symbol with a blade through a star. Leo had heard stories of them. The Blade Women? A warrior clan of elite female aliens, strong, proud, and deadly. And now he was hiding in their laundry. He shook his head. This was not his smartest move, but it was better than getting caught by debt collectors, better than being sold or thrown out of an airlock. He needed a plan. He needed a way out. But for now, he needed to stay hidden. He crawled deeper into the laundry piles and pulled a thick cloak over his body. The fabric was warm and smelled like firewood and oil. It was oddly comforting. For the first time in hours, Leo let his body rest. He closed his eyes and tried to slow his breathing. His mind drifted back to his sister, her smile, her laugh. He whispered a soft "I'm sorry" before sleep took him in the hallway outside. Footsteps echoed again, but this time there were more of them. Voices speaking in an alien tongue filled the room beyond. And one voice, deep and amused, said something that made the others laugh. The same voice then said, in perfect English, "Let's see what surprise the towels brought us today." Leo woke up to the sound of laughter, sharp and clear, echoing through the steam-filled room. He blinked, confused for a moment, then remembered where he was, deep inside the laundry room of alien warrior women. Before he could sit up, a strong hand grabbed the cloak off him. The fabric was yanked away, and Leo was exposed, curled up in a ball, half covered in sweat and laundry. 3 towering alien women stood over him, each wrapped in white towels, each holding a weapon or a sharp tool in hand. They were beautiful, but in a terrifying way. Tall, powerful, glowing tribal marks on their green skin. Muscles like living armor. The one in the middle stepped forward, tilting her head. Her icy white hair fell over her shoulder as she spoke. "So this is the little thief hiding in our towels." Leo scrambled back, bumping into a basket of damp robes. Not a thief," he stammered. "I was just hiding from some guys, really bad ones." The second warrior narrowed her eyes. "From what kind of men does a human crawl into?" "Warrior women's laundry." Leo raised his hands in surrender. "They're debt collectors, ruthless ones. I owed them money for my sister's treatment. She died, and now they're after me. I didn't know this place belonged to warriors." The three looked at each other, then back at him. The first one smirked. "Most males who enter this room do not leave with their bones intact." Leo gulped. "That's not encouraging." But then, instead of striking him, the middle warrior, the leader, it seemed, crouched down to meet his eye level. Her eyes were a bright silver, glowing softly in the steamy air. "My name is Thesa," she said, "and you are trespassing. But you are also afraid, hungry, and clearly not trained in war." She stood back up, crossing her arms. "Stay one night," she added. "If you wash our armor." Leo blinked, unsure if she was serious. "Wash armor?" The third warrior laughed. "It's heavier than you, human," but Leo nodded quickly. "I'll do it, whatever it takes." They led him to the back of the barracks, where huge metal suits lined the walls, covered in scratches and dried plasma. He was handed a thick sponge and a strange gel that smelled like electricity and herbs. For hours, he scrubbed while the warriors trained just outside, their shouts and blade clashes echoing through the walls. As the sun dipped below the alien city's towers, Leo collapsed beside a half-cleaned breastplate. His arms, numb. Thesa returned, now dressed in full armor, her white hair braided tighter. "You survived," she said simply, tossing him a cup of steaming blue liquid. "It's not poison," she added, as he sniffed it cautiously. Leo took a sip. It was bitter, but warm, and he didn't complain. "I thought you'd turn me in," he said quietly. "Sell me to them, or worse." Thesa tilted her head. "Honor is worth more than credits. But don't mistake this for kindness. You are here because I am curious." She looked at him closely. "Why risk your life for a sibling?" Leo shrugged. "She raised me after our parents died. She deserved better than this galaxy gave her. I failed her." Thesa didn't speak for a moment. Then she turned toward the wall, where a set of old armor was displayed alone. "She was brave," she said softly. "She would be proud." Leo looked at her in surprise, but didn't ask what she meant. Just then, another warrior burst into the room, panting. "Thesa," she said in their native tongue, but then glanced at Leo and switched to English. "There are humans in the market." Showing this male's image, Leo stood up quickly. "They found me," he whispered. Thesa frowned, her expression turning cold. "They'll expect you to run again." Leo shook his head. "Where can I even go?" But she stepped closer, placing one hand on his shoulder. "Then don't run," she said. "Let's make them come." Leo looked up at her, confused. "Come." Where Thesa gave a small smile, her silver eyes glowing brighter. "To a trap," she whispered. "One designed by warrior minds." The other warriors grinned behind her, already sensing battle. Leo felt a strange fire stir inside him. He wasn't a fighter, not really, but maybe, just maybe, with their help, he wouldn't have to run anymore. Leo woke up to a loud clang that made his whole body jump. He rolled off the small cot made from folded towels, hitting the floor with a thud. A sharp voice called out from the doorway. "Wake up, human. It's training day." Leo groaned and rubbed his eyes. "I thought you said I could rest." Thesa stood in the doorway, fully armored, her white braid swaying over her shoulder. She smirked. "You rested yesterday. Today, you work." Minutes later, Leo stood outside in the training yard of the warrior barracks. Alien warriors were already practicing, spinning staffs, energy spears, and blades that lit up like fire He wore a loose tunic, way too big for him, tied with a rope, and sandals that flopped with every step. One of the warriors, a tall one with red tribal marks, tossed him a wooden pole. "Try not to hurt yourself," she laughed. Leo caught it clumsily and nearly dropped it. He looked around nervously. Everyone was watching, smirking, curious. Thesa stepped forward and raised her blade. "We don't expect you to fight like us," she said. "But if you want to stay, you learn how to defend yourself." Leo nodded, gripping the stick with both hands. "All right," he said. "Let's do this." They began slowly, Thesa showing him simple stances and footwork. Step back, pivot, hold your ground, but Leo's feet kept slipping, his arms too weak, his balance off. After 20 minutes, he was flat on the ground. Again, the warriors laughed, not cruelly, but like watching a child tumble. Leo pushed himself up, panting. "This is harder than cleaning your armor." Thesa handed him a bottle of bright green liquid. He drank it and nearly gagged. It tasted like pepper and batteries. "It builds focus," she said, "or burns your throat." Despite the struggle, Leo didn't give up. Day after day, he kept showing up training, learning, failing, and trying again. But while the warriors trained his body, Leo trained his mind. In the evenings, he sat by the machines in the laundry room, studying their tech. The laundry system was slow, outdated, filled with cracked parts. So Leo started fixing it. He used old wires, empty casing, and even pieces from broken weapons. Within 2 nights, he made the drying unit 3 times faster. And the folding bots could now sort gear by owner using scent signatures. The warriors were stunned. Thesa walked in and stared at the glowing control panel. "You did this?" she asked. Leo smiled proudly. "Just gave it a human upgrade." She stared at him for a long second, then nodded slowly. "Maybe your weapon is your mind, but outside the walls of the barracks." Danger still crept closer. The debt collectors had reached the outer market. They were showing Leo's image to every trader, every food stall, every mechanic. "Where is this human?" they demanded. "He owes a blood debt." Inside the barracks, Leo began to notice more whispers. Some warriors weren't happy about his presence. "He's not one of us," one muttered. "Why should we protect a weak outsider?" Thesa silenced most of them with just a look, but even Leo felt the tension growing. One night, he sat on the balcony, staring at the twin moons rising over the city. Thesa joined him, wearing her night robes, her long braid untied and flowing. "You changed our laundry room," she said, "and you've changed some of us." Leo chuckled. "Never thought I'd earn respect with soap and wires." She looked at him seriously. "But now they come, your hunters." Leo's smile faded. "I know," he whispered. "I can't run forever." She turned toward him, eyes glowing in the moonlight. "Then don't. Let us hunt them instead." Leo blinked. "You mean fight back?" She nodded. "But not with swords," she added. "With traps." With a plan, Leo leaned forward, ideas already forming. "I used to be good at tricks," he said. "I know how they think." Thesa smiled. "Then, let's prepare, together." And as the wind blew across the rooftops, carrying the scent of danger, Leo and the alien warrior began to plan a trap that would turn the hunters into prey and prove that even a weak human can become something powerful. Asterisk, the training yard was quiet. Too quiet. Leo stood in the middle, holding a wooden pole in one hand and a metal bucket in the other. Beside him, Thesa watched silently, her arms crossed over her armored chest. "You sure this will work?" she asked, her silver eyes sharp. Leo nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead. "They think like predators," he said. "They expect a scared rabbit, not a trap, around them." A few warriors stood curious. Others stood doubtful. Leo pointed to the carts lined up along the outer wall. Each cart was stacked with folded robes and towels, but hidden beneath were coils of energy thread, stun nets, and smoke pods. I used parts from your old armor dryers, Leo explained. The steam release valves now spray a hot mist to block vision. He walked over to a corner where a cracked washing pod had been rebuilt into a control box, a single red button. Pulsed on top, "This is the trigger," he said, "when they enter through the main gate. We trap them between these carts, steam, nets, and smoke, all at once." One of the warriors, tall and skeptical, stepped forward. "You really think human tricks can beat trained bounty hunters?" Leo looked at her with calm confidence. "I don't have to beat them," he said. I just need to confuse them long enough for you to strike." Thesa gave a rare smile. "He thinks like a shadow," she said. "Let him set the stage for 2 days." The barracks became a workshop. Leo worked with warriors who never thought they'd take orders from a human. He taught them how to rewire thermal packs, how to set tripwires using cloth strings, and how to fake scent trails using laundry residue. The same laundry room that once hid him was now the heart of the defense. It smelled of soap, heat, and preparation. At night, Leo hardly slept. He sat near the steaming chambers, staring at old holograms of his sister on his small, broken device. "Wish you could see me now," he whispered, helping aliens build booby traps in a laundry war. Morning came like thunder. A warrior burst into the room. "They're here," she shouted, 5 of them, fully armed. Leo jumped up, heart racing. This was it. This was the moment everything had led to. Thesa met him at the main gate, holding her energy spear. "You stay behind the wall," she ordered. "We'll handle the rest." But Leo shook his head. "No," he said. "I need to be the bait." Before Thesa could protest, Leo stepped out into the open training yard. The bounty hunters entered through the front gate like they owned the place. Tall, armored in black, weapons glowing red, and eyes cold like death. Leo Darren, the lead one, growled, "Your time's up." Leo raised his hands, trying to look scared. "You don't have to do this," he said. "I have credits. I can pay." The hunters laughed, stepping closer. Too late for that. That was the signal. Leo slapped the red button on his belt. Instantly, steam erupted from both sides, thick and blinding. The carts burst open. Nets flying, smoke hissing, towels flapping wildly in the chaos. The hunters shouted, stumbling backward, trying to fire, but the mist jammed their weapons, heat sensors from the shadows. The warrior women leapt, blades drawn, their tattoos glowing like fire through the fog. One hunter went down under a net. Another was knocked out cold by a towel-wrapped spear. The leader tried to grab Leo, but Leo swung his bucket hard, hitting him in the face. It didn't hurt much, but it was enough. Thesa charged in and tackled the leader to the ground. Her spear pinned his throat as she hissed, "No one touches." What is protected? The whole battle was over in under 2 minutes. The bounty hunters lay defeated, tied up in laundry cords and warrior ropes. Leo stood in the middle, panting, shirts soaked in sweat. He looked around and couldn't help but laugh. "I just took down intergalactic killers with laundry tools." Thesa stepped beside him, grinning. "You planned it well," she said. "You used our world, not theirs." The other warriors cheered. Some even clapped him on the back. The same ones who doubted him now looked at him with new eyes. "You've earned more than just shelter," Thesa said softly. "You've earned respect." Leo looked down at the red button still in his hand. "Guess I'm not just a janitor anymore," he whispered. "Now I'm the laundry general." The nickname stuck, and that night the warriors held a feast in the training yard. They laughed, they drank, they shared stories of battle and honor, and in the middle sat Leo, a human. Among alien warriors, not as a fugitive, not as a burden, but as one of them. The twin suns rose slow and red over the warrior barracks. But the peace in the morning air didn't last. A loud explosion echoed from the southern wall. Shaking dust from the ceiling and rattling the weapon racks, warriors jumped into action. Grabbing spears, blades, and stun batons, Thesa was already outside, armor gleaming. Her expression calm but fierce. Leo ran after her, heart racing. "What was that?" he shouted before she could answer. A second blast came, this time closer. One of the outer gates had been blown off. Down the long path, 5 dark figures appeared, tall, armored, and moving like wolves. These were not just bounty hunters. These were elite debt collectors, known across colonies for dragging debtors back in chains or body bags. Leo's face went pale. "That's them," he whispered. "They're not here to collect. They're here to destroy." The leader of the group stepped forward, helmet smooth and black like oil, his voice booming through a speaker. "You are harboring a fugitive," he said. "Release him, or we take him by force." Thesa didn't flinch. Her silver eyes glowed under the helmet. "This is warrior." "Ground," she said. "No cowards live here." Behind her, 20 alien women stood ready. Weapons drawn, their tattoos glowing in patterns of heat and courage. The lead collector laughed. "Then you've chosen death." With a snap of his fingers, small flying drones buzzed into the sky. Red lights scanning. Weapons spinning. Leo pulled out the small controller he'd built from washing pod parts. "Let's even the odds," he muttered. He pressed a sequence on the controller. From the rooftops, thick clouds of laundry steam burst into the air, blinding the drone's sensors. The barracks yard turned into a glowing fog of heat and mist. Warrior women moved like shadows, their footsteps silent, their blades fast. They struck from the mist, disappearing before the collectors could fire. Leo ducked behind a cart, peeking. Through a hole in the linen, he saw Thesa leap from above, landing on one of the drones, driving her spear straight through it. Another warrior used a towel soaked in gel to wrap a collector's arm, the fabric sparking with electric discharge, sending him crashing to the ground. But these weren't normal enemies. The collectors adapted fast. One of them activated a shockwave pulse, clearing the mist in a flash of blue light. The battlefield was now exposed. Leo was no longer hidden. The leader pointed right at him. "There," he shouted. "Grab the human." 2 collectors charged straight for Leo. He turned and ran, heart thudding. He wasn't a fighter, not like the warriors, but he knew these barracks better than the collectors did. He turned a sharp corner, ducked under hanging armor racks, and slid into the laundry room. He slammed the emergency wash cycle, releasing 10 gallons of boiling suds from the ceiling pipes. The first collector slipped, crashed hard, his weapon flying from his hand. The second followed, but Leo had already grabbed a long drying rod. He swung it with both hands, hitting the man's legs and sending him to the ground. Breathing hard, Leo backed away. "You're not taking me," he said aloud. "Not today." The room was silent again. Only steam and sparks danced in the air. Suddenly, the main doors burst open. Thesa stepped in, armor scratched, blood on her cheek, but her eyes burning bright. She looked down at the fallen collectors and nodded. "At Leo, you fought," she said, "like one of us." He managed a tired smile. "Laundry fights count." Right back outside. The last of the collectors were retreating, dragging their wounded. The leader, bleeding from a shoulder wound, snarled, "This isn't over." He shouted, "We'll return." Thesa raised her spear and threw it. It landed just inches from the man's foot. Her voice was cold. "Next time, we won't let you leave." They disappeared into their ship and fled, leaving smoke and silence behind. Warriors began cheering, lifting their weapons high. They had defended their home, and a human, Leo, stood among them, still shaking, still unsure how he survived. But when Thesa turned to him and placed a hand on his shoulder, everything changed. "You don't belong to them," she said. "Not anymore." Leo looked around at the warrior women, some smiling, some bleeding, all strong for the first time in his life. He felt like he belonged. No longer just a runaway. No longer just a debtor, but something else entirely. A brother to warriors, a human worth protecting. Asterisk, the barracks were quiet after the battle. Broken drones sparked in corners. Scorch marks stained the stone walls. Warrior women walked slowly through the training yard, collecting weapons, checking on each other, patching wounds with cloth and ash. Leo sat on a step near the laundry hall, breathing hard. His clothes were soaked, his hands shaking, but his eyes focused. He had faced death not once, but twice, and somehow he was still here. Thesa walked over, armor half off, her braid loose, a bandage wrapped around her shoulder. She sat beside him without a word for a few moments. They just watched the smoke drift into the sky. Leo finally broke the silence. They'll come back, won't they? Thesa nodded slowly. Debt collectors don't accept defeat. They'll regroup, return with more firepower. Leo clenched his fists. I can't keep running forever. And I won't let them bring trouble to you again. She turned to him, her silver eyes serious. Then end it. She said, face them. Not with weapons, but with truth. Leo blinked, confused. What do you mean? Thesa stood and held out a small shard of glowing metal. It was shaped like a coin, but pulsing softly. This is a legal code key, she explained. Ancient warrior law allows one challenge to be judged by the Council of Honor if you bring evidence that your debt is false or forged. They must listen. Leo stared at it. But they won't accept alien testimony. They will if the alien is me, Thesa said. I am a blood daughter of the Warrior Council. Leo's eyes widened. Your royalty. She smirked. Something like that same night, under the cover of darkness, Thesa, Leo, and two senior warriors left the barracks. They traveled by land cruiser through desert plains and crystal caves until they reached the Capitol Dome, a massive, glowing city protected by ancient shields. The halls of the Council of Honor were made of stone and steel, with statues of ancient warriors watching from every corner. Leo stood in front of 7 robed figures, each with glowing eyes and braided hair like Theseus. At the center was Elder Verna, an old warrior with skin like pale marble and a voice like thunder. You request judgment, she said. For a human, Thesa stepped forward, her voice clear and proud. This human saved my barracks. He fought beside my sisters. He carries truth in his hands. Leo pulled out a small chip from his belt pouch. It flickered to life, showing a contract with glowing red text, but as the elders zoomed in, they saw the truth-forged seals. Illegal rate changes, false witnesses, tampering. One elder hissed, this contract is a lie. Before the judgment could finish, a voice shouted from the side of the chamber. The debt collector leader, bruised but alive, stormed into the room with 2 lawyers. This is nonsense, he yelled. The human owes us. Elder Vorna raised her hand. Silence. We have seen your lies. The collector gritted his teeth. I demand trial by combat. Thesa stepped forward. No, she said. You've used enough violence. We demand punishment under the code. Vorna stood from her stone seat, her robe flowing like smoke. The council finds the human's debt void. The collector's license is revoked. Your operations on this planet are now illegal. Leo let out a slow breath he didn't know he'd been holding. The weight on his shoulders, years of fear, guilt, and shame, finally began to lift. Outside the chamber, Thesa touched his arm gently. It's done, she said. You're free. Leo looked at her, eyes wet but smiling. Thanks to you. She shook her head. No, she whispered. You stood your ground. You fought your own battle. When they returned to the barracks, the warriors greeted them with music and glowing fire poles. Leo was lifted into the air by 3 laughing warriors and dropped into a pile of warm towels. They chanted his new name given by Thesa. approved by the council, to Vern Leo. It meant the one who folded chaos into peace. Leo stood under the stars that night. Watching the flames dance, he had arrived as a fugitive, hiding in towels, chased by men with guns. Now he stood as a warrior's brother, no longer in chains. He smiled as Thesa joined him, handing him a steaming cup. "What now?" he asked. She smirked. "Now you learn how to throw a real punch." Weeks passed since the council cleared Leo's name. The barracks no longer whispered with doubt when he walked by. Instead, warriors nodded in greeting, clapped him on the back, or tossed him chores with playful smirks. He had earned more than survival here. He had earned a place. The laundry room, once a hiding place, had become his workshop. He'd turned old washers into armor polishers, made scent markers for warriors' cloaks, and even fixed a long-dead water heater using scrap. From broken spears one morning, he woke to loud knocks and distant drum beats. He stepped outside, rubbing his eyes, only to find every warrior in formation. Thesa stood at the front, wearing ceremonial armor, her hair tied in a high loop, her face painted in lines of silver and red. "What's happening?" Leo asked, blinking. In the morning light, Thesa approached him with a small folded robe, dark blue with golden embroidery. "This is for you," she said. "Today, you train as one of us." Leo froze. "You're serious?" She gave him that sharp, knowing look. "You've fought with us, bled with us, repaired half our gear. You've already proven yourself." He changed into the robe. Though it felt strange, it wasn't armor, but it carried weight. A symbol, not of battle, but belonging. That day, he trained beside them, not with weapons, but with tactics. He showed younger warriors how to track heat, signatures through fabric scent. He designed a decoy system using steam and metal mirrors. He wasn't strong with a spear, but he was quick, clever, and calm under pressure. Thesa often stood beside him during drills, correcting his stance, whispering comments that made him laugh. They were growing closer, not just as warrior and outsider, but as something deeper. That night, they walked through the glowing market together. Thesa bought him a strange alien fruit that popped in the mouth and smelled like mint and fire. They sat near a fountain, watching the two moons rise over the city towers. "I used to be scared of every day," Leo admitted. "Waking up meant running. Running meant hiding. I never thought I'd live like this." Thesa looked at him quietly. "You are not a shadow anymore." She said, "You are flame." He looked at her, confused. "Flame." "In our culture," she said, "flame is what rises from the ashes. It is rebirth." Leo smiled. "I like that." The next day, something unexpected happened. A ship arrived from Earth, a delegation from the human colony's trade officials, translators, and one familiar face, Derek. Leo's old friend from his youth stepped off the ship in a sleek uniform. "Leo," he said in shock, "we thought you were dead." Leo chuckled. "I almost was. Then I got adopted by warrior women." Derek didn't laugh. He glanced around nervously at the warriors watching them. "You can come back, you know," he said. "You're cleared. The debt's gone. You can live normal again." Leo paused. He looked around at the tall towers, the steam rising from the barracks, the warriors practicing with joy and fire, at Thesa standing near the gate, arms crossed, pretending not to listen. "I already have a life," Leo said quietly, "and it's not behind a desk." Derek sighed. "You've changed." Leo nodded. "Yeah, I became real that night." The warriors lit a large fire in the center of the training yard. They danced in circles, sang old songs in deep tones, their feet stomping in rhythm. Thesa stepped forward and handed Leo a new robe, this one marked with a red stripe down the middle. It meant accepted. It meant not guest, but clan. He put it on slowly, hands trembling. The firelight flickered across his face, and the warriors shouted his name. Not human, not outsider, but to warn Leo, one of them. Thesa walked beside him and said softly, "There is one more honor left." Leo raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" She leaned closer, her face inches from his. "Teach me how to fold towels like you do." He burst out laughing, I thought. "Warriors didn't fold," she smirked. "We do now." As the fire burned brighter and the stars moved slowly above, Leo knew this place, these people. This strange warrior clan. They were home, and he, once a broke human hiding in a pile of towels, had become something more, not just brave, not just clever, but one of the fiercest hearts on a planet of warriors. Not just a guest anymore.